Hello and welcome to a new Let's Play of Stellar Reach. It's a game where I played the demo, which is available on Steam, so feel free to check it out if you like what I'm showcasing here. It's for free, of course. After the demo, I actually went out to buy the game because I want to support the developer behind it. So actually, it's a game made by one person, so it's basically an indie game, and I have to actually compliment him on making this work. Of course, you can feel it in many regards that it's a solo game, more or less, but I'm not going to talk about this right now. We're going to talk about the game in general a bit. Also its weaknesses or its strengths, and also what can be improved upon relatively easily. So I'm just going to go through it a bit and just... I'm not sure how long I will record it, because right now I only have like one evening to do stuff. And then I'm pretty busy with work, so maybe next weekend I can record more. If you like it, so feel free to comment directly so that I know it, and then I can maybe make another video about it from there. So we're going to pick our starting faction here. I'm going with the Aphelion here because I do like to play science-oriented. Of course, we go with red, and I think everything... Let's actually go with a large size map, and let's go up to 6 AIs here. I do like large maps. So here we go. And this is, when we zoom out. Yeah, let's talk about this in a second. So if you zoom out, that's our star system, or rather local star cluster in which we are playing. So we are here in Lima, and we can see that we are, for example, above the... how it's called. I should know this. I studied these kind of things. The north of the above the ecliptic here, and we see that every planet, of course, has like a 3D coordinate, and every planet in that star system, if we zoom in, so we can see here that it's, for example, again tilted against the ecliptic. I really like this small detail here. It doesn't really have an impact on the game, but it's a really nice detail. So the same if we go here, no, I didn't want to open the star system. You can see here that this one is also inclined, but yeah. And let's go to Lima here. So we are playing in this star cluster where we have planets, where we have everything we need to build a prospering civilization. We also see here icons for the different planets that are in the system. And now we're going to use our scout here. So for example, this game doesn't really use 3D models for a lot of things, so we can of course go there. So you see that it doesn't have a model, which is like a very cheap option, of course. It reminds me of games from like the 90s and the millennials. But of course, if you're a solo dev, I understand that you have to cut corners left and right, but I do like the setup of the system here. And maybe it doesn't need to have models here right now. It's just, of course, maybe something that can be inserted later. So we're going to send our scout here to the next planet we want to scout. We can see the rough categories of the planets. We can also open them up here. So for example, this is a gas giant here. This one here, for example, is a fertile planet. We do see the category here. Fertile means that the habitability is quite high. I probably guess that the font is hard to read from a recording, because it's even hard to read here in my resolution. But I think that's something the developer can easily improve on by fixing a bit of the resolution issues here on the fonts. This, for example, is a lava planet, which probably has a very low habitability and so on. And we're searching for a rocky planet here. Yes, let's search. Let's fly here first. So we are flying there now. Takes us a month and a few days. And then we know more here. Actually, let's switch the filter to owned planets here. Yes, so we do... No, wait a second. That was systems where we are in. So we can see here the planets, and then we can see the details later when they get revealed. We start on Lima B here. We do have a lot of quick options or quick menus at the top here. So it's a very different kind of UI layout, but I do like it in the general things. There are still things that can be improved upon, and I think they are relatively cheap to be improved upon. I think, but in general, the UI feels alright. It just has its kinks and weaknesses in some regards. Now, we are starting here on Lima B. Let's go there. This is our overview of the planet. We see we do have a lot of tabs here. So, for example, shipyards and civilian overview of everything where we are currently. We do see that we have an income here. Money is very important. An industry here. We're going to look into that in detail in a second. And prosperity here, which is more like how well is our population off. I think a very important thing to know is that the population is playing a minor role compared to, for example, a lot of other 4X games like Stellaris or something like that. Actually, the industry values are more important here if you want to get stuff done. The population values are for buffing your stuff up, because you can, for example, have this kind of counselors which depend on your population. And they are also a victory condition. We go here, we have to reach 500 counselors on very happy planets for a victory condition here. We currently have 1, and these go up with population on your planets. So like Lima B has currently 1 counselor, it gets the next one at 100,000, which is a while away because we have 50,000 population right now. We also see a graph here of how our population development is going to proceed here. Like, it will decline over time because the health and happiness will go down with the larger our population gets, so that's a problem. I'm not sure what it exactly represents here because it's not explained, so I hope it will be explained eventually. But yeah, these are small things that can easily be improved upon. I mean, for example, the industry is very easy to understand. You see here that we have 68,000 total machines at the end of this simulation time frame here, whatever that is. It's 10 years maybe. I don't know. We currently have 50,000, so we start here, we go up to 68 over time. And that's basically a graph how everything will develop under current conditions. So it's a very nice, easy, understandable way of telling you statistics currently. But it still lacks a bit of information that still needs to be explained. But I do think we're gonna get started here now. So what do we need to do? We want to build some civilian projects that is the main way how we can guide our planet. We currently have a hall which is giving us income. It's basically like your starting building. And we have a space station so we can build ships from the get-go. Because we started with the faction here, the Aphelion, we have a special building available, the technology campus for tech. We're going to do this first. Afterwards, we go into industrial zone to improve our industry output, and then we go into a hospital to increase our population birth rate. We're going to look into that in detail in a second. We are also going to speed this up by investing our machines here. It costs us about 5,000 of our available machines. And now the question is, what are machines? Machines are what we just looked at as well. We do have 50,000 at start. Now 7,500 are caught up in the project which we just queued up, and we have 15,000 which are making money and a bit of science here. For example, we could decide to actually cut the science here, so we do have a bit more now, and no, I mean less are tied up in production here, so that means more are free available, and all the ones which are freely available are used to reproduce their machines. So you have a growth rate for these machines. We get 108 per month. Of course, each project does not only have an upkeep in machines, it also costs your machines to build. So we actually lose 2,500, I think. Maybe not, I'm not sure. No, actually we don't lose them. We just have them used as upkeep here. So we don't lose them, but we are still occupying these kind of machines which cannot be used for reproduction here. We want to grow these numbers so that we have more available, because a fixed fraction of our machines is going into projects, but also into producing health, entertainment, finance, or research. So if you, for example, max everything out here, as you can see here now, then we don't have any growth rate at all, which is a very bad idea. So we want to actually keep it, I think we actually want to do it like this for now, because we want to buff our growth rate here. And with our scout, which is the only ship we currently have, we are going to actually also make a second scout. And then we have to see what else we want to do here. And I think that's all we need to do at start, but now we can see that we do actually go down in the income, which is our general efficiency. So we have to have enough money in our industry output here to support our economy. And with the shipyard, we actually we are spending more than we currently have available. So our general efficiency is going down, which is an important value. But we can't make more money. We need more machines for that to work. So that's why we are not going to do anything about it right now. Now we are going to speed forward. Our scout is flying to Lima C, where we have sent him. That's why the game paused again. And we are going to wait until it has scouted the planet. So it's scanning currently. And we don't have much else to do, because we are at the very early thing of the game. And now we can either we get a cruiser for free, we don't need that right now, or we can use the wreckage for surface, from the surface of the planet we scouted to project development. We're going to pick this. And the next planet mission is to scan all planets in our home star system. So now we got the quest reward here. We get 25% development rate to projects, which means that our project that we started, the technology campus here, is actually faster now. But it also means that it's more efficient. It just means that it's more efficient now. So it will be quicker to be built now. Good. And our scout here, we can actually just automate him to fly to the next planet, scan it for us, and we get another quest, build a cruiser. We're going to do this eventually as well. Actually, we can already just queue it up afterwards. I'm not going to boost up these ships. We could also use production for this, but we don't want to. We are not in a hurry here. This is the starting setup now. So we want to use our machines to produce more machines. The interesting bit about this is that we have basically an exponential growth, more or less, here. But we are balancing it with more or less linear functions. So you have an exponential growth, but how exponential it is based on these linear sliders here. So it's really not that easy, in my opinion, to balance this kind of stuff out. And I really like this economic concept here, because it's not trivial to how you want to do things. You have multiple ways of how you want to do things, because you could speed up many things early on, but therefore you lose a bit of exponential growth from there. But you could also do things slow and therefore have more growth rate, which is speeding up stuff in the future. So it's a bit of a balancing thing and how you want to do things. And I don't know what the perfect balance is. I think there isn't one. It's just your own how you want to do things. So the scout has completed. Let's go to the ship filter here. We're also going to use that for scouting our home system here. Now wait a second, that's flying to a different... Yeah, we're not going to wait for 41,000 years. That's, for example, also something that can be improved upon. So we are going to... you go there and you go here. So that's definitely some stuff that needs to be fixed, that it doesn't do that. That it doesn't try to fly to another star system for 40,000 years, which isn't in the time frame of the game. But it's easy things that can be fixed over time.
It arrived.
I mean, it's just a condition in the automation that is not working as designed. But yeah. So we are scouting through our planetary system here. We found that our sea planet here has 63 productivity. I mean, it's also shown here, so on a quick overview. But it only has 37% habitability. So our population growth rate would be terrible here, but our production from the machines would be good. The question is, what do we need more? And that's not easy to answer. It depends on what we want to do here on that planet. There's also other stuff on that planet, which is resources. We can see it here. So it's just shaded currently because we cannot access them anyway. We do need research for this, which is going to be the next things that are going to finish soon. So for example, there's carbon and titanium with 42% abundance here. But not that much plant stuff. We also have tungsten in there for 30%, and we don't have barely any hydrogen, which is as expected because only gas giants have decent amount of hydrogen. So we just got a level up on our scout for doing a lot of scouting missions, which means that this one is going to be a bit faster now. You don't really have a choice in the level ups, but I guess that's a feature for the future as well that could be made. And now we fly to... This one is getting scouted. So we go fly to E. No, E is already getting scouted. G is not getting scouted yet. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I'm... Oh, maybe I cancelled that one by accident. So, and we just got a quest for... not a reward from scouting the planet. We just got 20% income for 5 years. So that's awesome as well, because now we're at 106% overall income. This one, being positive, doesn't give us much. It influences the efficiency of our counselors here. So we do see that this counselor is working at 60% currently due to 56% happiness from population and 106% budget efficiency. So it's basically multiplied with each other. What we could do instead is actually remove some of the machines here so that we have more reproduction rate instead. So we can see that this one produces 5 more now per month, which is not significant, but it's a bit at least. And G is finished. Now let's fly to E with that one as well. And then our scouting is actually done here. So our project here is also getting close to finish. 2 more years are left, and our shipyard is going to finish the cruiser in 2 years as well. So that's more or less what's going on. And also our first technologies are going to finish in 4 years, which means until then we don't really have much to do because we have finished our own star system. And to reach the next star system, we have to finish the compact fusion reactors here, which allows us to jump to other stars. So that's actually what we wait for. How could we boost that one up? So currently it will take 5 years to finish. We do have multiple branches here that we can see. For example, down here we have gravity interferometry. So that's also going to take 30 years until it's finished. And the science we can only speed up by producing more global science, or building districts on the planet by civilian projects. Not districts, that's a Stellaris word. Projects, which will get us benefits into certain direction. For example, we can see that our starting buildings are tweaking the science output a bit towards military, prosperity, and industry. There our counselors come back in, because these ones provide bonuses on the planets for certain science output, but they also give us a global bonus here, as we can see. So we have a global bonus from counselors and we have a local bonus from the planets we are on. So if we go to Lima B again, we can see here that we currently get around... Yeah, we're not getting that much, but 57% of 5% health and 5% prosperity research rate. So we get a small, tiny buff to research for prosperity. So which means that the prosperity category, which is this one here, the green one, is slightly faster than the others, for example. And you can balance that by building districts. Not districts, projects. Come on. I will remember that eventually. So for example, the technology campus here will get us 0.5 for every sector. So that's all the research sectors that are. But it will also give 5% more research industry output, which is one of the categories. And then it gives sentiment. Sentiment is basically to which, let's call it faction, the councilors will actually belong. And we currently have one councilor which belongs to prosperity. So we can expect that the other councilors will be either military or industry currently, because that's our biggest faction on the planet. So we are not going to get a resource one because we don't have any faction alignment to a resource here currently. And yeah, now we're going to finish the last scan here. So the progress bar is completing, and then we get express reward. There we go. Scan opens in the home star system. We can find a cruiser, or we can get hydrogen. I think hydrogen... Can we move you? Yes, we can move you away. Hydrogen would get us what? Hydrogen is a fuel. We get habitability, productivity. So actually I'm going to take hydrogen because we get a general buff from this. So let's see. New objective. Scan a planet that is not in our home star system. I'm going to do this. So we have 10% from this quest reward here. 10% fuel is available. That translates into a 2.5% habitability and productivity buff. So we are slightly more efficient now with our production here. So we went up to 91 machines from 88, I think. A tiny bit better. I think I take it. I like it. We don't need the free cruiser because we already have one finishing in a second. 2 years, actually. So it's not soon. Now we can go out. So we know that 6 other AI, I spawned 6, right? Oh, 6. Ooh. Are in these star systems as well. So I don't know how many these are. I would just like guess 4, 8. Let's say that's like 25 star systems or something. Just with 7, that means that everybody gets around 3. So it will be very crowded very quickly, which also means it will be a lot of warfare very quickly. Which is dangerous because you can lose relatively quickly. If you lose your fleet here in orbit, you're more or less screwed. So we have to get a decent protection fleet early on, and we have to keep an eye on our expansion here. Which means we want to already check our home system. What can we colonize? We can definitely colonize this fertile planet here, the G planet, but it only has 26% productivity. That means that we are probably going to have to pay for this planet because we cannot make a lot of money from our machines here because they are only 26% efficient. While our population is, of course, very happy with 71% habitability. So they will grow like crazy, but we have to pay for them. We have to basically pamper them and provide for them with money and machines. So this planet will more or less be a deficit early on. We do have the lava planet here, which is very efficient but low habitability. So we also have to pay because we have to make them happy here. If the happiness of the population drops below 25%, which is basically guaranteed here, then all production stops because they are more or less rebelling. Which means that we only have the sea planet available here, the rocky one, that's why I wanted to scan that first, which has 37% habitability, which isn't great, but it has 63% productivity. So we are going to colonize this one first. And then we have to see if we either colonize a second star system or if we actually go for these two, the lava planet and the G planet here, the fertile one. I think we go for all 4 here, all 3, I mean. But that's a question for probably the next episode because it's going to take a while until we are at that point. Now the technology campus has just finished, which pushes our income up significantly, which is why I went this one first, because it provides us 250 flat income plus 5% industry output, which means that this one is more efficient here, so we can actually more or less cut it completely. I'm not going to do it completely, so I'm going to just go for like plus 20 here, like this. So we just, let's invest 1,000 machines in this. I mean, they're going up over time as well, because we are now already at 54,000. 54,000, yeah, yes. And yeah. And now the next project is going to start, which is the industrial zone. We are also boosting it up, so instead 9 years, it now takes half the time. Industry zone will output more machines, increase our output, but it will also give us our industry sentiment, because we hope, of course, that we get the next councillor maybe for industry when we reach 100,000 population. And that's why we built the hospital next afterwards. But our science output also went up significantly now, due to the fact that we have the technology campus here. So let's check it out. We see here that we are now making 1 in each. It was 0.5 before that, because we have the technology campus, which gives us 0.5 for every sector, and the hall gives us also research, which was roughly 0.5 at the beginning. So now we are producing quite a decent amount, and we get multipliers here from the buildings and habitability and so on. So, for example, we do not get a lot from prosperity here, but it doesn't matter. So we have a decent amount here. So that's nice. Now we can keep going here. And the good thing is now that we have a positive economy. It went up again because our cruiser has finished. And what we're going to do is now we could either go for another project boost or we take the flat research boost. But it would only get us military research. So I'm not for military here right now. Instead, I'm going to take the project development rate because it's going to boost up the production rate of the local civilian projects by 25%. So we are down to 2 years now, which means we are going to get these buildings both finished before the event modifier disappears in 5 years. Which also means that we have to now see, do we get new projects here? Probably only after the next tech. So we're probably going to run short on local projects for a while, because here we get the modifier. This one is also population growth, that's not the building we are going to get. Fusion reactors here is also just a modifier. So the buildings are all in the second row here, which we are going to get eventually, but not anytime soon. But we want the hospital and the industry sector to get more production and output here. And actually, because we could decide, do we want to build another cruiser? I think we want to. So this eats 10,000 machines, of course, which is a lot, considering that we only have 57,000 currently. But I think we want a second cruiser as soon as possible, because in case there is something flying around here. And now in 3 months we are going to see our hyperdrive here, which is going to unlock
Research
us.
complete.
There we go. So we finished DNR tracking now. We go into 5% health, 1 prosperity. Now we go for the population growth first here now. And now the next
Research complete.
I'm going to finish as well. And here we go into rail. So that gives us another ship type, the Javelin. And we finished Mega Fusion reactors. And now we go into actually the self-sufficient robotics. And afterwards we do the compliant mechanisms here. Now this is, for example, something one could also fix. I have to check if there's a key binding for it that escape closes the research menu. And it's something like F10, which is usually the main menu, to see if it's possible to rebind this. We also have a faction. Wait a second, I forgot something. So our scout here should now fly to the next star systems here. So they are going out now. You can see that here now.
Detected.
Okay, and we got a quest because now neutrals have spawned in our system. So we can check it out where that actually is. Lima here. No, wrong button. Here you have to click. So we see now that we do have a neutral fleet which is damaged here, so we can defeat it actually on Lima E. So we are flying there and they are going to start a battle. We see a prediction here that we are actually going to win. It will take a long time until that is solved actually. So let's go there. So they're fighting here. You don't really... I mean, there's... Like, you can see the... You can see how it works here to a certain degree. And the interesting part, which I can show later, is that you have ship models that can go into the second line. Like, you have these circles here, which represent positions in your fleet formation. You can have later ships which are in the second row and therefore shoot long range. And you have ships in the front, which are basically protecting the second or third row here. For example, the third row could be something like troop transport or something. Second could be some kind of artillery ships. And in the front line, you want to have the cruisers, which are the early tanking ships, more or less. And now these two are battling it out. That will take a very long time because they are more or less equally matched and don't deal a lot of damage at the beginning. So we can just progress forward. And now we can also see that our scouts are moving out here. They are flying to these two star systems, which are, if you look at the map, actually the closest ones to us here because of the 3D map layout. Because this one is like very far away actually. So we have to see what we can get here, but the problem is, of course, they are close, but they're also in the direction of the center. So we maybe don't want these two. We maybe want to go to Chalice or something like Kawasato here, which are more remote, but further away from the enemy. But one thing after the other, we only have 2 scouts for now. I don't want to make too many scouts because instead we could build cruisers currently. We don't want to speed up our resources using that. But our event modifier just expired here, so we have to go back and adjust our investment rates again so that we have enough money again to stay at least at 100% efficiency here. Yeah, and our industry count has already gone up to 60,000, so we basically doubled our machines. Not doubled, but 20%, like 10,000 on top. And it's going nicely. And this increases the fraction which can be assigned to these kind of sliders here. And yeah, from here we are going to just speed forward, raid out stuff, and then get started on colonizing stuff. But for the next second, we are going to see the industrial zone to finish, so we can check the planet out here. So we are currently making 142 machines, and it will probably go up significantly here. There we go, by plus 11 from the finished district here, industrial zone. And this gives us, of course, the much desired boost to the industry faction. And now the one councillor has moved to that faction. So we cannot currently shift it around. So this is just the highest... So I explained it a little bit wrongly, apparently. So the faction percentages decide which councillors are assigned to what here. So this will, of course, somewhat mirror the percentages here. When you have more than one or a multitude of councillors, you can also influence that a bit. We are going to get a quest eventually where we get a councillor. I think it was the colonize, right? Yes, here, strong leader emerges. So we can get a free councillor for the colonized planet objective. How do we colonize? Well, we have to make a colony ship, and for that we have to reach 60,000 population. That's why we want the hospital next, to boost up our population growth. And our population growth currently is only 65 per month. So we're getting closer, but it could be faster. And we are going to colonize something. I think I'm going to colonize C here, the rocky planet. What we want to...
Project complete.
There we go. Cruiser is done. We can use the cruiser as well to send to the raging battle here, which is still progressing. Battles are relatively slow early on. They get faster the more ships are involved, and they get more bloodier the more ships are involved. I actually didn't really manage in the tutorial to win proper battles against the AI, so that's a bad sign for me, I guess. But yeah. So, next step. Colonization. Hospital is going to finish in 3 years, and we are getting closer to 60,000 population. Yeah, let me just jump forward until we have reached that point. So, we got a new quest, which is Know Your Enemy. Find all of our enemies, which means we have to find all other 6 factions that are in the game here. Then we also get the Counselor as a reward, or we get free population on one of our planets. We don't really want population, I guess. We want to have the leader. we also found a scout earlier. So we can also use him to scan planets here, automate him, and go around. But we have reached... Yeah, we have reached 60,000 population, which means we can get started on a colony ship. We're going to do this. It will take 10 years. We could assign a lot of... Yeah, let's do this. We assign extra machines to make it faster here. And our machine count is still going up nicely. However, one of the quest rewards has also timed out. So we have to go up here again a bit. And the hospital is going to finish soon as well. So we can now just speed forward here. And yeah, they're going to scan the other systems here for us. So for example, we just got resources here as a reward from the scout. Vehicle materials 10%. Not sure what that is. We can check it out here. Ah, here we get carbon, titanium, magnesium, aluminum, which in the end is just regeneration rate, speed, defense, and damage here. So that's all good. By the way, we still have our fleet here. Yeah, they're still fighting, but it's almost done now. So actually the second fleet, we can also send that in. Now, the colony ship will of course take a few years here, so that's all good. The hospital will finish, and we have probably lost 10,000. We will lose 10,000 population when the colony ship is finished. Okay, there we go. We won a fleet battle. We can get another cruiser for free, or we get project development. We don't need that right now because we don't have really many other buildings to do after the hospital. I don't need the bunker that we could make, so we just take another ship here. Now let's go there. So we have 3 ships here. We can just merge them up. Make one big fleet out of it. There we go. And then we send this fleet home to heal. There we go. So they're going to automatically heal at the shipyard. And now we can just progress forward here. So the next goals would be to get the... Wait a second. Oh yeah, we got robotics hub. I researched that one. Nice. So now we go into compliant mechanisms here. And we can also actually queue up that building, robotics hub. However, this one costs us 100 wealth to operate. So that's very expensive. And it only gives us 5% more production on machines. So until this one has repaid itself, because it basically means that we have to get enough additional machines that the additional income we get is worth the upkeep costs, which we don't really make a lot of money here. It's a very huge investment. But I'm going to take it here. But I'm not going to rush this building, so we are going to... let's see... This one is getting boosted by the other tech. So that's actually a very interesting mechanic. So we do have here, down here, technologies that you can research and like boost them up from here, but they are also in the other tech trees, like the gravity interferometry. So you have certain upgrades, technologies like these ones, which you can buff up and therefore help you progress it to a certain direction if you want to rush something, which I really like. So for example, we could now go here into this technology as well, which means that this one is going to get boosted from the military branch, but it also gets buffed from the resource branch, which is down here. So this is very useful, and this is mostly going talking about buffs from the resources you get. So it's not that critical, but getting these first development buildings here can be useful. But they are also very expensive to mine the resources you can get. There we go. The hospital is done. And now we're actually going to not invest that much into the robotics facility here because we don't need to rush it, in my opinion. Instead, we are going to use the freed up machines here to produce faster, because currently we have a massive amount of machines queued up in the colony ship. 20,000 are busy doing the colony ship, so That's a very big chunk of our production currently. But with the building that finished, the hospital, we have to basically max out all our machines on economy to stay at 100% efficiency here. So we have to really keep an eye out that we don't drop too low.
Enemy detected.
Okay, we found an enemy fleet, but I think that's a neutral one. It's again in Lima, so we can just send our fleet here. Take this out as well again. There we go. And they are battling it out. Our ships get experience from this, so it's not bad. These are like neutral ships that spawn up from time to time. And yeah, that's of course good. We could also make Marines if we want to invade later. We can... I think that we can't do much right now because we are waiting for the colony ship and we have to get our industry further developed and also research more options before we can do proper things. But I think we want to rush these two planets here, the C and the G and the F planet. So we are going to be busy, very busy with the colony ships. But I think I'm going to make a cut here and rather do the colonizing in the second episode. So leave a like and subscribe if you like it. And I'm going to continue in the next episode. See you next time.